Hi guys, if you're watching this, it's because the new fibre broadband is working and this video is now at least 2 weeks late. Don't forget to like, or actually have a bottle of champagne in celebration that everything's working again. Like, share, subscribe, comment and go ding. And I've still forgotten to bring the bell up, but that will probably appear in the next video. Oh, yeah, let's liven things up a bit. Now, by the title, you want to be millionaires, don't we all? There is one way of doing this, but it's pretty unreliable, and that's enter the national lottery or the Euro lottery or whatever the equivalent is in your country, and hope that the balls fall in the right place and in the right order. It's not very reliable. You could buy premium bonds, certainly in the UK. Again, I don't know about other countries and hope your numbers come up, but you're limited to 1 million. How else can we do it? Well, a lot of people do it on YouTube, which is probably why you're watching. And just whilst I remember, the guys are here because it's still November. Hopefully it's still November. And we're celebrating Day of the Dead and Armistice Day and everything else all in one towards the end of the month. There will be another happier short video later. YouTube is one of those things that has this reputation for producing millionaires. And yes, it has. And some people have made multiple millions on their ad revenue. How do they do it? 90% luck, 99% luck, I think, at least 99% luck. Most people who have YouTube channels do not become millionaires through it, no matter how hard they work, and some of them work very hard and still cannot really fund a life just on YouTube ad revenue. There are some who supplement that income by getting a real job. There are others who supplement that income by looking at other ways of funding YouTube. And the one that I think we're all familiar with because it appears on a lot of videos is Patreon. And I've been thinking about Patreon quite a lot, and I've looked at it quite a lot, and I see very similar channels dealing with the same content to the same standard, some of whom have quite a few Patreons, you know, maybe a couple of hundred, which helps no end. And others of which have very few, and some have none. That's possibly because they're not subscribed. There are Patreon channels around. I know of one that's been signed up to Patreon for months, if not a year or so, still has no Patreons. That's actually really quite sad, because there's nothing wrong with the stuff they're producing and they're getting plenty of views and they've got YouTube partnership, must be doing okay, must be doing something right, and yet no Patreons. So what I'm going to do is give my thoughts on Patreon and the fact that I've thought about it, and at the moment I'm saying no. If I can get, well, not if, when I get to a preset number. The problem is I'm making this video quite a bit in advance, so I might hit that preset number. Whichever comes first. Random number involving 1 and 5, we'll put 15 at the front. Significant date, I don't know. When I get to 1,543 subscribers, I will seriously look at Patreon. In fact, if I can get to that number by the beginning of December, I will set up a Patreon account. And I will take you through that process, because I looked at it briefly. I don't actually know how painful it is. And I will show you the forms, and I will fill in the forms, and any obviously confidential information will get removed. But we'll go through the process together of setting up a Patreon account. We will think carefully about how much do you charge. You know, Big Clive, of who you know I am a great fan, he starts, I think, at £1. Just £1. He's got a few Patreons, and there are other levels. The most I've seen is, I've certainly seen £750 a month. I don't know whether anyone's actually buying in at that level. Certainly that particular channel has a lot of Patreons. Whether any of them are at the £750 level, I don't know. But again, he starts very low. I think it's a couple of pound, and builds up to this huge level. Mind you, for that you buy the guy, you own him. it's quite a good deal you get out of him for that. There are other ways of doing it, of course. Not everyone wants to commit to a monthly do and would rather pay just by per video. Yes, I like that one. Ignore the phone, I'm actually waiting for a call. I like that one. I want to give a couple of quid for that one, but I don't want to commit to giving a couple of quid a month. Big Clive again, if you don't want to join Patreon, there's the option, the price of a cup of coffee into his PayPal account. That's another way of getting funding in. And for big projects, I think Fran Blanche, she certainly used GoFundMe for her weightless flight, her flightless weight, weightless flight, flew a parabola. I mean, she went up a long way. It wasn't sort of 40,000 feet and down. It was edge of space trip. She did. I watched it. I don't actually remember the details. It was with, I don't think it was Elon Musk. I think it was one of the others that have now developed this ability to fly 120 miles up. You can see the curvature of the Earth, but you're too busy spinning around being weightless and trying not to throw up. Excellent. I think that was a GoFundMe campaign. I think her learning to fly is a GoFundMe campaign. That's on the bucket list. This channel, I'd like to take you through the process of learning to fly. We're not doing GoFundMe yet. There's a long way to go before we do that. There are lots of ways of getting other money in other than just your ad revenue. But this comes with a moral responsibility. Does it come with a legal responsibility? I don't know. But the moral responsibility is people are giving money to Patreon, not for you to go out and buy, some flashy car straight out the showroom, some super duper BMW 7 Series or whatever. They're not paying for you to go on holiday to the Bahamas or Alaska or whatever turns you on for 3 weeks and take a few bits of video with your GoPro. They are paying you to fund the channel, to increase the quality and possibly the diversity, certainly in this channel's case, of your output. So morally, you are really obliged. Yes, you need to eat. That's part of the channel. If you don't eat, you die. Therefore, you can't make videos. But luxury goods aren't. Unless, and this is where it does become difficult, you can go and buy an Arri Alexa and lenses and everything for it, and you probably need GoFundMe for that. It's many tens of thousands of pounds worth of kit, and then you carry on using your phone or your DSLR to make videos. That's not on. People haven't given money for that. They've given money for you to buy this super duper broadcast camera or cinematographic camera, cinematographic or cinematogratic. cinematic. English is a nasty language. They bought this very expensive camera to improve the quality of your videos. They are paying you this money so that you can afford to employ people to do things properly for you, things that you can't do, whether that be effects, whether that be good color grading, whether that be good sound recording, etc, etc, etc. Not everyone has the skills or can develop the skills to do these things adequately. Sometimes you have to pay other people, and there are channels that do that. Let's just think about two briefly. Nile Red, good old Nigel Braun, Canadian chemist. Nile Red is a channel to watch to see exactly what people will do. He's very professional. He's a chemist. He has his own lab, which he set up for video. That wasn't cheap. I've been involved in building chemistry labs in the past and refurbishing chemistry labs, and we're looking at about 100,000 quid at his setup there. But that's not all. It's more than one room. He's got another room attached, production area to then produce the videos. That lot cost him a heck of a lot of money, and I do get the feeling that his rich daddy didn't pay for it. I think he got there himself. I might be wrong. We might have a video from Nigel later, sort of saying, "Oh no, I got my dad to pay for it," only in a Canadian accent. But my impression is that he largely funded that himself by hard work on YouTube. The other one is Backyard Scientist. In spite of his nice flash house in Florida with its own swimming pool, which he seems intent on destroying, there's a production crew behind him that he has to pay. And production crews ain't cheap. Expect to be paying at least £200 per person per day. And they ain't going to work for less than the 200 quid. So if that day turns out to be an hour and a half, you're still paying them 200 quid, whether it's an hour and a half or 8 hours, you know. You don't have to go that route, and there are those that don't. But most of the big channels that are producing high quality content are paying other people to assist and to make the magic happen. There are channels that don't. I think he's called Tom. 2 channels, same guy. Explosions and Fire and Extractions and Ire. Again, it's chemistry. It's the complete opposite from Nile Red. He's doing it in his back shed on the cheap and blowing up his garden and probably killing the neighbourhood. But yeah, I mean, he's Australian, so it's mostly swearing, and he doesn't like yellow. But it's a real cheap budget production. There's some good kit behind it, mind, but that's beside the point. And he's using that, well, he was using it to fund his PhD. If he's got his PhD, he's probably use it to fund being unemployed. I don't quite know how he's working there, but I can't find a Patreon for him. So yeah, it can be done, and what you actually do doesn't seem to matter, so long as you do it well. As long as you pick the right subject, the right area, and you do it well, and you can do it well with Nile Red's superb. I wish we had labs like that at my previous place of work. It's a beautiful laboratory, and he's doing it very professionally. Whereas, as I said, I think he's Tom, the Australian, is doing it as a mad scientist in his back shed. Both are producing highly accurate and highly educational content. They both know their subjects inside out, upside down, back to front, and probably in several different languages. Certainly get that impression. But the presentation is different, and it's very different styles, and both work equally well, at least for me. And if people, if Tom does have a Patreon account and people are piling money into it, he deserves it, and certainly deserves. Nigel certainly deserves it, and Fran Blanche certainly deserves it. She describes herself as a professional YouTuber who's having to run her other business in order to subsidize the YouTube habit. And that's where you're getting to. You have to think how you are going to spend this money to the benefit of the people that gave it. That's my moral message. If you choose not to follow it, that's fine. I don't care, because I'm not going to be funding you. Because I'm pushed for time, this is where I'm going to stop. There will be a follow-up to this. As I say, you share the video, get me the subscribers, and we will go through Patreon applications and setting up a Patreon account. We will do it together. Now I've got the magic software to work, we can actually look at the screen that I'm doing it on and all sorts. Brilliant. If I come up with any other interesting lines of income, we'll share those. But this is going to be our burst. I told you English was a difficult language. Our first big adventure together is to actually put me into position. And there we go. There's my call. Excuse me one moment. Where were we? We're going on this adventure of how to make money out of YouTube, where you might not be living in a palace, but you won't be living in a gutter either. And by means to afford to buy the equipment you need to really up the game a bit. And then the rest of it, I'm afraid, is down to you, the hard work of learning how to use it. And it is quite a long journey. I'm doing it, as you know, every video is a different colour until I get that right. Let's do it together. Yes, you can become a millionaire via YouTube. Yes, it does require a lot of luck, but it also requires you to actually pay some of that money back to the people that gave it to you. We'll see you again soon with a proper bell to ring when I remember to bring it up. I'm going to make a little stand for it, so there might be a video of that as well. And what can I say? Drive carefully, dear. And I'm sure my little green friend will be back again soon. Bye for now.